Cool, man. Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
exciting. As you've probably heard, you said you watched a couple of the other episodes, but the reason I started this podcast really is, when you're a musician and you see a lot or meet a lot of other musicians out in town, it's sometimes it's a little platonic in the relationship, right? You meet them, you like them, they're cool, they're a great musician or whatever, but you get about 15, 20 minutes of chatting over loud music and you don't really ever get to get kind of deep
Right.
in and really understand who people are. So, my wife and I being relatively new to the music scene and meeting a lot of really cool people and really feeling the wonderfulness of this community, I just said, you know what? Hey, I got a podcast studio. I want to start a podcast and interview musicians and venues and
That's a great.
show managers and stage managers and basically anybody who has anything to do with the Minnesota music community and really just kind of gather that all together. I also plan to create like a website where I'm going to stick everything, but that's
Cool.
that's a whole beast in itself. So for now, we're
Yeah.
just having a good time chatting with people. So yeah,
Podcast for sure.
cool. So start first. I know who you are. Audience may not. First, just tell us who you are.
I am Brett Schmidt. I am currently the bassist in the band called Crackin' the Halo. It's a tribute to Scott Weiland. So we play Stone Temple Pilots. We play Velvet Revolver music. And we're just getting the thing going.
Yeah.
And it's going good so far.
You guys did a showcase, right? Recently at Ziggy's?
Yep. We
Okay.
did Ziggy's Hudson.
Nice.
That went well.
Nice.
Went well. And we have our first official show is December 13th at Jersey's.
Nice. I've never actually been to Jersey's before, so that's
Yeah,
gonna be a good reason for me to get out of my house and go to that and the Doghouse. I want to go to both those places. I haven't been either yet. So
Oh yeah,
Cool.
Doghouse is a good place to
is
see
it?
a band for sure.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah. Looks like it's got a good sound and they get a lot of good, bands through there. So
Oh yeah.
awesome. Cool, man. So I love to start like way back, in like toddler Brett, like what what got you into music in the first place?
Well, I guess I'll start by I grew up. My parents were old country fans, and of course, going on vacations and everything. That's all I heard was the old country, and then Kiss came along, and it's like, whoa, this is different, and but my parents allowed it, and they had like the TV shows, they had the big promotion that was going on with Kiss at the time.
How old do you think you were then this time?
I was probably, maybe 7, 8.
Wow. That's
somewhere
pretty
in
early
there.
to be into like, some
Yeah.
heavy metal Kiss,
Yeah,
big
well,
show, big makeup, everything.
and they had the music club, you buy, and of course at the time was 8-tracks. You buy the 8-tracks and Columbia House, all that kind of thing. And my parents asked me one day if I wanted to make a selection, and I was like, oh, there it is, Kiss, that first album, or 8-track.
Nice.
I ended up getting that one. And so then it went from there, and probably about 15, I figured I'd start playing guitar. I was in junior high, that type of thing. And getting into, different types of music and everything. And then, of course, MTV came out and really exploded that whole scene. And, of course, back then it was, Rat, Twisted Sister. They were the big names, and they were a little heavier edge to their music, and that's what I kind of enjoyed. And then, then one night I'm listening to like a radio show. They were doing like new music, I don't know what it was, what the premise was, but it was Fight Fire with Fire. And I heard that song and I went, all right, that's what I like. And
Nice.
from then on, it was a metalhead.
Nice.
I've been a metalhead ever since.
So thrash from the first time you heard it. Huh?
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. That was something else. It was like completely different. to hear something like that. It just so happened to be right about the time when Metallica or Master of Puppets was going to be released. So then, of course, then there's all this hubbub regarding that. And of course, I was, the day it was released, I was at the store, bought my cassette, because now we've advanced a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I started, and then from there, it was all basically, metal from there. And that's all I ever wanted to do, even still playing guitar. It's pretty much how I learned how to play guitar, was just jamming to Metallica songs.
What's the first song, when you picked up a guitar, what's the first song you started trying to listen to and really tried to start emulating?
Was probably, I had a transcribe book for Ride the Lightning, so it was that album.
You went straight for Metallica, right?
Yeah.
From day one. Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
And it wasn't really until, you're playing guitar and you're playing along and it's, but it wasn't until when And Justice for All came out, and there was a certain way about, I finally was able to get the mutes in there with the, and the stops and the this and that. And that was kind of like my aha moment. I'm like, oh, okay, now I see. Now I see what to do here. And so from then on, it was a little more advanced playing, I guess, if you want to call it that, for as, if you want to call it that. And then, so at that point too, I should say before that, we had, I bought a guitar, and of course it was Smoke on the Water. That's like everybody's first song.
Right. That's probably the only song I can play on guitar.
Yeah. And, when all the kids would want to get into something like that, that's what I taught them, of course, Smoke on the Water, so that they can say that was their
So you
first
gave
song.
lessons for a while?
Well, they were interested, and
Okay.
they played, that riff,
And then gave up.
and that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That was it. Then they moved on.
Right.
I never really pushed them, to follow in my footsteps. I just let them sit back and listen and watch. And
This is your kids.
yeah,
Okay.
my kids.
Okay. Cool.
As they grew up, of course they heard me playing all the time. And it wasn't until they were older, they go, oh, wow, I guess you can play. They didn't really catch on, as kids. It was just background noise to them. But
Right.
But now it's kind of neat. They show up at the shows and watch. So it's kind of neat.
So do you ever go back to, those early years and get back into some of that old country and try to play any of that?
Not necessarily. We did do some Johnny Cash, and there was Folsom Prison Blues. Oh no, it was the Ring of Fire, and they wanted to do the Social Distortion version. And then I'm like, I like the Johnny Cash bass, so I tried playing the Johnny Cash bass to the Social Distortion version. It didn't quite work.
Didn't work.
So I had to go back to playing the Social Distortion way. But
You say we, was this an older band?
this was a band, a cover band we were trying to get going.
Okay.
In the recent past.
Okay.
As far as, once I switch over to, listening to heavier music and stuff like that, it wasn't that, you always want to say, oh yeah, country, I hate country, and I never really hated country. And now, as I go through life, I can look back and almost, when I hear that old country, that's when and I can appreciate that, that old country. And I guess it's kind of in me as an influence as well, going forward. So that was it's kind of neat to, when you hear some of them older songs, and and whatnot. Like my mom really liked Gene Autry, and to this day I can put on Gene Autry and enjoy it. I don't have to be annoyed and have to change the music.
Like
so
what
much,
song?
but- well, the big thing was it was a Christmas album, believe it or not. So,
Okay.
and now when I hear those other Christmas songs, of the ones that he did, I'm like, I don't like that as much.
Awesome, man. So, cool. So I know you as a bass player. Obviously, you started out as a guitar player, still play guitar, but talk to me about, that kind of that journey for you.
So, I would say in high school we formed the high school band. I think everybody probably who plays music had started the high school band, and we were really, really raw. We thought we were awesome, and we were the best band.
You got to, man. You got to.
And of course we never played anywhere, but the drummer's basement. Never had a PA. We just sang into the stereo. So our
Nice.
recordings, you can hear our music, and then the vocals just come in just screeching loud and peeking out. And I think I have a tape or two or something like that. It's kind of funny to listen to.
That's awesome.
And then you can hear all the yakking in the background as we're playing.
Right.
It's pretty fun. So then we do that, and then of course that doesn't really go anywhere. But at that time, of course, I met my friend Brian Vork, and kind of after high school, we were kind of doing this thing. We always kind of wanted to create music, and he had like this Magnavox tape player with the two cassettes in there, and of course he had his stereo and this and that, so he'd record a little thing like this. We had a Casio keyboard, and you could and these other various little sort of drum machine type, the cheesy drum sounds that you get out of that.
Yeah.
And so you'd record that, and then you play that over the big speaker, and then like I would play guitar, and then like he would play bass, and we record that, and then play that over the big speaker and sing and record. And we were kind of doing it the roundabout way,
layering all the tracks, huh?
Yeah. And so he played bass at the time too, and kind of in the meantime he had picked up on drums. One of our friends left the drum set at his house, and he just went down there and started playing, and he picked it up. So we would we'd do these type of recordings, and then we met this friend that had a 4-track, a tape 4-track, and that was like our first introduction to, whoa, this is a lot easier than playing the with the speakers and doing this and doing that. And so we actually did a recording. We kind of got a band together, and we did a recording, and then it was like too much that for me to not have one of these at home. So I went out and bought one.
Okay.
And then from then on, it was basically me and Brian, and we went and we would make like a new band, and we do like different styles of music, and we recorded, and we just went through and we'd do it for ourselves. We'd make these recordings, and what was kind of fun was actually the making the master tape. A lot of people with this digital world, they take that for granted, where back in the day we'd be listening to the tape, mark down every little point, like where it would maybe peak out and this and that, and then we'd be making the master tape, and we'd be like adjusting as we're going, and this and that, and we on a little 4-track with both hands on there, trying to get all these things, and then we'd do the pans and back, and make our master tape recording, and it was that was kind of the fun part.
Huh.
And like I said, it was more for us. We didn't care if it was gonna go, we're not looking for a record deal, nothing, we do that and listen to our album and play dice and and we do that for a week or two. All right, let's make another one, and we go on and just and that's kind of how things went. And
When you say make another band, was it just the two of you and you just come up with a new band name to do a completely different style, or?
pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
And we stuck. We would try to stick to that style for that band, and we would do one like we did. Like the first one was called Hypnoterror, so that was pretty raw, pretty metally type stuff. And then we moved on to so then we did Fraud, which was our earlier tapes, and we decided to record them on the 4-track this time. We even used the same Casio, we did everything, but on a 4-track style now this time.
So these are the ones where you were layering the tapes earlier, and now
Yeah.
now you're moving over to bigger and better stuff.
Now we're doing the
Okay.
doing the 4-track.
I see you tried to remake the same songs that you'd already created before?
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
cool.
And then and then of course we'd add maybe a little bit more guitar or bass. And so in the meantime, I was playing guitar. My buddy had a bass. A different friend of ours that we had always kind of jammed together. And then one day I dropped it or something. I put a nick on there, and of course just before that he had bought a new bass. So I had asked him, I'm like, can I, being I did this, I mean, can I buy this from you? So from then on, I had a bass now. So of course we would do all these recordings, and I would play bass, he would play bass, I would play guitar, he'd play guitar. I never did the singing or the drum parts, but I'd do some backing, but that's about it for that type of stuff. But yeah, then we would move on after that. Then we went to we called Bartholomew Sound Kitchen, and we did kind of a keyboardy kind of.
This was the name of the band?
Yeah.
Okay.
And and we would do kind of not really beatnik, but just kind of more words, that kind of thing, just telling stories behind a weird little keyboardy thing. And and we would do that, and then we'd go back, hey, let's do a Hypnoterror now. So we'd go back to Hypnoterror, and then after that was done, and then oh, hey, let's do another Fraud thing. Let's do a completely new Fraud, and we'll move up and do that.
And you said what was Fraud's style of music?
Fraud was just just kind of rock, I guess. That was our high school band, so it was kind of like, I don't know, maybe hair metal would probably be a better.
Okay.
The way I picture hair metal is, high school, like, girls dancing around, and you know what I mean, that type of thing. Guys looking like girls. Of course, we never did that, but
So like a Van Halen, Motley Crue-ish.
yeah, that type of kind of
For a World.
anthem type.
Poison, yeah.
Yep. And so we would do that. So kind of in the meantime, we ended up now I'm probably, well, I was 21. I don't think Brian was 20 at the time, or maybe Brian was 21, but my friend Brad, we all three moved into a house together.
Okay.
And we were kind of a band, like us three, because Brad played bass, and then I played guitar and Brian played drums, and we got another singer, and we tried to kind of be a band. It took a while for us to get some recordings and everything, but in the meantime, me and Brian, of course, would always keep doing these recordings, so we ended up the basement. This house was pretty neat. So it was like the whole basement was concrete, and like a tuck under garage, if you want to call it that. And so we took the ceiling, like a drop ceiling, and I had all this foam. I worked at a computer company, so you had all that egg crate foam
Right.
stuff, and we stuffed the whole ceiling, and we'd be in there, and you couldn't hear a thing outside. And we would do that, and one of Brad's workmates actually at the time was like this blues player, and I mean he knew all the old licks, all the lyrics, and he would come over, and we'd have multiple parties of these blues jams. Now I wouldn't necessarily be involved with that. I was more into just the partying and the recording of it. I recorded every single one of those blues jams, and we would have players come out. We had horn players. Brad's stepdad was a drummer, and he's been in multiple bands, and he would have his friends come over, and we had this keyboard player come out. That this keyboard player guy was.
This was all in your basement.
Yeah, wow. This was all in the basement, and it would go till 5 a.m.
What a life, man!
And this would be at least every other weekend, because Brad had his kid. The weekends that we couldn't have our parties, and but yeah, there was even this pianist that came out, keyboard guy, that he was like a cruise ship over in like Europe or Italy or somewhere over there, and he was one of those where you come up and you'd suggest a song and he would just play it and play and sing, and this guy was just incredible musician.
Music box, huh?
And yeah,
play anything.
So I mean, to have those type of people, and then even the saxophone players, we had a couple, 3 of them, and one guy that played with Brad's stepdad would show up at give or take 2 or 3 in the morning, because he was playing a show that night and his gig ended.
And he still wants to go play.
And he would show up,
dedicated musician,
play for a couple more hours. Yeah, it was something else.
Wow.
So that was pretty fun time.
That sounds like a hell of a time in a life right there.
Yeah.
And wow.
I was I'm so fortunate to have recorded all that stuff too. And
wow.
And we had the one time our band, that we had as a singer, the one time that we had a jam. That was the only time we ever played like live, and that was at, of course, at our party, and that was the party. The 3 of us also had made a movie before that, and we had it all edited by then. We did the public, we used their studio and do all that and edit it and get it all, ready. And that was our movie.
Like a local public network, like CCX or something similar, but in your area?
Yeah, like public TV, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And so of course it was all free, and that we could do this. And the whole point was that we would have to play it on, on their program, but I don't think it ever got aired.
Is that right?
Now that I think about it, but we had a movie.
Why do you think that is? Was it a pretty horrible movie, or
no,
it was pretty good.
No, it was pretty good.
Okay.
Maybe a bit of copyright stuff.
Well,
maybe because we added music and stuff to the background, so I'm sure there's.
And I think back then, I mean, copyright law obviously still exists, but that's an interesting topic, right? Because I think copyright law is so difficult to enforce now. Because everything's out on the internet, and anybody could just grab anything and make a TikTok video with the AC/DC in the background. And
I think it's up to the people who own the copyrights to do their due diligence to to figure it out who's doing what. But I think
I think back in the day, it might have just been easier for Columbia House to go after people or what, whoever, Sony, I mean, but now it's just like,
because the access to it is, there's so much now as compared to back then. But that was our, so we had a movie premiere, and so our band played, and then we had our movie premiere, and then we finished out the night with another one of those blues jams.
Cool.
To finish it out. And that was pretty exciting.
Man, I wish you and I were friends back then, dude. That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, it was fun. And I mean, the musicians back then too, everybody was just wonderful, There was nothing negative, nothing, come about.
No drama, huh?
Yeah, if you want to get up and play, go and play. And
that's nice.
What
part of town were you living in at this point in time?
We lived in Blaine.
Okay.
Actually, like, I don't want to say the backyard, but really close was, now it's 610.
Okay.
So 610 runs right through, kind of not that area, but it would have been, kind of the backyard of that place. Not necessarily that place, but that neighborhood.
So what happened to this place? Did one of you guys own it? Were you renting it?
I was renting it from this lady. She lived in Florida, and she knew my boss at the time.
Okay.
And he had asked me, "Hey, anybody looking for a place to rent?" Oh. The wheels started turning, and I'm like, "Oh, hey." So I asked my other couple buddies, and that was great. That was about 2.5 years, and tons of parties, tons of jams, tons of recordings, all in like a 2.5 year span. It was quite an interesting time in my life there.
Right, I bet.
And
so how does that match up with what you brought to show today?
So I brought the recordings that we did.
Bust them out, man. Let's show the camera. Let's show our people
the different genres of.
And this is all that band with your friend.
Yeah, all of this stuff. So this was the first project that we
Skullduggery.
That was the one at Bob. So Bob had the 4-track and kind of got us going on how to record.
Nice. And you did the graphics for these, right?
Actually, Brian did the graphics, so that was on a cassette.
Okay.
And then I made it CD compatible.
Nice.
Stretched it and did all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Rapping, my lips are flapping. Not a white man, I do the best I can. Rock a Bob sings that life is a rodeo. Rock a Bob backs it up, away he goes. Wake up.
That was our introduction to all that, and then we got.
This is Hypnoterror. All right.
So when you see the fancy graphics on there, that just means our cassette didn't have a cover or anything like that. And I'm like, when making it digital, I got to do something to make it.
Mental embalmment.
Yeah.
Blistering membrane. Impregnated demons. I like it already, man.
Yeah.
Sounds like some fun stuff.
Pretty crazy stuff there.
Yeah.
And and that's that keyboard music that was talking
Bartholomew sound. So is there a story behind Bartholomew, or is this just like as random as you could possibly get?
Not really. I mean, yeah, I don't know. If I remember right, I think it was more Brian that came up with these names.
Is that right?
Yeah, he wrote most of the lyrics and came up with a lot of these concepts.
That's so cool.
Fellas,
trees in the park make the air fresh and marvelously misty. And for the flowers, well, they smile with cunning sweetness.
Visions I have witnessed, a bold warrior I stand.
Cool, man.
And then that's our redo. So
Refraud. Oh, fraud, but with an O. Okay.
Yeah.
Took me a minute to figure
Yeah.
out what that is.
yeah, so that was
Fraud.
that was the name of the high school band.
Okay.
And of course, every time you'd go to the bathroom, you'd have to write it on the, in front of the stall or wherever you were sitting in class, you'd write it on there and,
Awesome.
nobody really knew how to take it. So our name was a lot more popular than our music.
Then the band actually was.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Dr. Ron, Dr. Ron, everyone knows Dr. Ron. I want to be a deepen rocker. I'm gonna have my head to the ceiling.
And then of course that's where Brian did the album cover for it. So
Cool.
another Bartholomew Sound Kitchen selection.
Bartholomew.
Hugs and Kisses.
Wow. That's so much fun, man.
Yeah, that was so let's see. I'm trying to do a timeline. Yeah, I think this was our first selection living in the house, and then we went on from there to there. And then of course we had to do a cover song album,
Okay.
Hodgepodge.
Finally, the
Yeah.
cows come home.
And I would say that we kind of cheated on a lot of those songs. So what we did was we had one track of the original track, and then we would do like probably the drums, bass, and guitar, and then we record over the original song track to finish out with the vocals. So then ultimately everything kind of still stayed in the same tempo and
Yeah.
whatnots.
Nothing wrong with that.
But all of this it's pretty raw, pretty not necessarily I mean, of course, we loved it at the time, but it wasn't necessarily
I'm gonna take a picture of this for the podcast now.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Sweet, man.
So yeah, then we got that was our first.
This is a
So-
lot of songs.
Yeah. So then of course we had to move on with another Hypnoterror.
Ghastly Woes.
And then
Uncle Dead Throat. I like that song already.
yeah, that's his name. That's his name. Uncle Dead is the throat.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So
I thought that was the name of a song.
yeah.
Nice. Oh, Intestinal Burial. Okay, yeah, this is the same ones off the other one.
Yep,
Got it.
yep.
Nice.
So just
So this is a re-recording. It
Yep,
was
no.
the tape over tape over tape, and this is the 4-track version.
Yeah. And now we got instead of that, with the fake drums and all the other stuff, now we got real drums and
Okay.
a little more emphasis on guitar and bass and stuff.
Nice.
And of course another selection of Fraud. And then and then we didn't know where else to go, so we went Earhole.
Earhole Wax Museum. Is this a new
So
new
now
band
it's,
idea?
and now it's a new band idea. yeah.
Okay. So what's this one all about?
That's a little more it's still in the rock type metal type genre. It's just maybe a little looser, I don't know, a little sillier maybe.
Okay.
Something like that. I don't know, the way I look at it.
Welcome to my workshop. We don't have the buttons. This is my machine. This is my invention.
so then we ended up moving out, and then Brian moved in to his girlfriend's house, and of course we couldn't necessarily play drums, so we went back to, at the time I had got a Alesis drum machine, and we programmed beats and then went with that.
Played over the top of them, huh?
Yeah, and played over, and say that's, I mean, it's all pretty much, rock or metalish type music. I'm not one to play differently than power chords and muting, So, I mean, my style is obviously a lot heavier than, and I try to play clean. It's not as, like I said, it's pretty raw if we do on that one. And then, so then, I ended up buying a house, and then I took the room in the basement and put up that I still had a bunch more of that pink foam, and I put up that in the walls there, and then we started the next venture. So then, so then this is now about 95, I think, and we were doing all the recordings mainly at my house there, and then went on to another fraud. Tried to stay in the same kind of vein, that type of anthem type.
So you guys did this for quite a few years, huh?
Yeah, we did. Most of these are, I think this one starts in 91, the original.
Wow. This is 1998 here.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then
7 years of your life.
And then another
ear hole, 1998.
Yeah.
Blank brain. Wrote this about me, huh?
Yeah. So, and then another
Peep
Ants.
All right.
Or Peep Ants selection.
Stupid name. I love it.
Yeah, we had to emphasize or capitalize the A so you wouldn't think anything else.
Yeah.
And then the last one,
Frauds No Name album. This is from 99.
Yeah, and the reason why it's the no name, like all of these we had labeled and named in the cassettes. All the one, like I said, with the fancy graphics, they didn't have a tape cover.
Yeah.
And that one it wasn't even labeled. So that's why we call it the no name album.
Uh-huh.
And just kind of went from there. Nice. So that was all that. And then when we were that party I was talking to you about,
recorded at Schmidt D's Pink Foam Studio in January 1999.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's what we called that one. So this was our band that we were Bill O and the B Bros, and this was that party I was talking about that was recorded. We just called it Booge Live because our singer, we just called him Booge. I don't know why, but anyway.
So this is you guys actually playing at that party?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. And then of course the second disc on there is the Velvet Blues Jam, which was.
Was there more than one disc?
The continuing.
Look at that.
The till 5 a.m. portion.
Nice.
And then that was our recorded original music there.
Nice.
So then so that takes me to about 1999-ish, and December 21st I had my first child, 99, and so from there I kind of got away. We never really pushed the recording thing since, and then a few years later ended up moving up to North Branch. Actually, so it was in 2001. So I moved up to North Branch, and at that time, of course, I wasn't playing. And Brian, we both lived in Northeast Minneapolis, so it was nice and convenient to do all this. And then I moved up there, and I had a child, 99, then another one in 03. then another one in 05, and I think somewhere in between like maybe 2004-ish, maybe even into 2005, another a guy I worked with had said that his son-in-law is looking for a bass player. And well, yeah, I had that bass. Okay, we'll try it out. And
Hadn't really played it much up to this point, or
yeah, not really. I mean, I took some time off there, more or less, to raise a couple sprouts, and then of course you get that itch again.
of course, yeah.
And so he was starting at the time. It was a band called Saltwater. And so they had 2 guitarists, and well, I guess I'll play bass, So at that point, it's kind of like when I started playing bass. And
So what sort of music was Saltwater?
Saltwater was an original band. I would say alternative.
Okay.
Very alternative. Eric Johnson was like the main guy who started the band, and he's really into the Foo Fighters and stuff like that. So that was pretty much pretty close to the style of that.
Well, Foo was pretty new even at that point.
Yep,
So
yep, exactly.
he loved him from the very beginning.
And both those guys, the other guitarist, which I still know, and the drummer, I still hang out with those guys. But even the guitarist was, they were into the Nirvana, the whole grunge, Alice in Chains, and that kind of got me exposed to that type and to that style. And once I
Up to that point,
started,
you weren't really listening to a lot of that. You're still
not
deep
really.
into the thrash and
Yeah, it was
stuff.
still
Okay.
quite
Interesting.
and of course that's kind of when it was all starting to die down. So
Yeah.
so then I got into that stuff, and once you started playing the bass lines, I was kind of like, this is interesting, that I can get into this, and it was pretty neat, and I kind of took it head on. And I remember meeting up with an old high school friend who had played guitar, and I told him I was playing bass. He's like, "Oh yeah, are you one of those guitar players that plays bass?" And so it was kind of like from then on, I'm like, okay, I gotta prove something here, and and that's kind of when I took the bass by the horns, and said, I'm gonna play this as a bass, and I kind of emphasized trying to be the bottom end, and it was fun. With that band was, they gave me the, kind of the freedom to just kind of go off and create something, a bottom end to it, and it turned out pretty good. Actually, so yeah, we did some recordings there too. Again, these are all just raw, unprofessional, just, you know what I mean? We recorded them, and then we
Nice.
did our own mixes. Nothing's professional, it's just more or less for our own. And this band was trying to sort of make it, if you want to call it that, and we just had 4 guys up on stage, just kind of standing there. There's really nothing really to push us over the top. The music, I would say, was good, but it just wasn't a good stage presence or anything like that, and so eventually the guitarist kind of he's like, I'm done. So that's the lead guy. And so at the time, me, Eric, and Ryan had said, you know what, let's take these songs, because it was always like, oh, we can't play this because of that lead part or this part or that part. And so then we said, I know, let's you just come up with a drum beat. We already had the chords and progressions and lyrics, and we just played them in a different fashion, and we redid a lot of our songs, and to tell you, that was like the funnest time
A
that
lot
we
of the
that
saltwater
we ever
stuff,
had.
or some of the older stuff.
Yeah, it was all the saltwater stuff,
Okay.
and we revamped the songs and gave them a new vibe and a new feel, and we just had a blast. And so it was kind of at that time when we were like, all right, let's go play places. We've always done the the original band places, but there's no crowd, there's no
Yeah. It's
people
hard to
don't
pull
go
hard
to
to
watch
pull in
original
people.
bands,
Yeah.
unless they know the music.
Right.
And so we were like, well, let's learn some cover songs, and then let's go out, and then at least that way we can get out and play, and we can do those things. And so we did, and we really had a blast. We took a lot of in the STP thing I'm doing, we want to play it like the original music, because that's
Okay.
what people are going to expect.
Right.
Well, when you're saltwater back then, for example, we did Eric was really good, like on the acoustic, like a chugging type, Dave Matthews type.
Okay.
And we took the song War Pigs, and instead of the hi-hats, like you probably even think it's a boring part, like everybody does. And he would chug those parts, and then we'd throw all the other stuff in there, and it just became it was a blast. And we took a song like Talk by Coldplay.
Okay.
And we took that, which he had the riffs and everything, and I was playing kind of my own bass line to it, and a really low, and I had a 5-string at the time, and I hadn't even heard the song, and then we played it, and we're like, yeah, this is great, and then I heard the song, I'm like, what? I was like, so totally different, but then again, it worked, as far as not many people, like, people recognize the lyrics more than they do the music. I mean, there's a lot of riffs out there that people recognize, but
Yeah.
but when it comes to when you're singing the lyrics of a popular, so that song was pretty popular at the time,
Okay.
and yeah, it went over well. And we would do we also did Johnny Be Good. That was fun. That we used to do as Saltwater. We used to do parades. We'd do a lot of parades, and it was pretty neat. We made a float, and we had the waves on there, and we had like 3 layers of waves on our float, because we're saltwater, and of course you have to throw candy, you throw saltwater taffy, of course. And but we were playing an original song at first. We would just play that as we go through a couple, 3 parades, and then we switched to Johnny Be Good, and the crowd, you wouldn't believe it's like, what a difference, night and day, because they recognize it.
Yeah.
And but that was always fun. We give her a little bit more rockness to the song, and then we would do like an Elvis medley. Rock that up.
People love Elvis, yeah.
And that's just it. They recognize the lyrics, and you can play anything behind it, and people would still, get into it. And so that was pretty fun. That was a pretty fun time in the saltwater there. And then we had thought, we wanted to do the female singer, like Avril Lavigne, and a bunch of those female type were coming out then.
Okay.
Alanis Morissette.
Right.
Those types. So
This is like probably late 90s now?
no, this
2000s.
is now we're into about 2000, probably 5, 6, 2000.
Okay.
Well, no, I was into the band at about 2005. So we're now about 7 or 8, 2007, 8. And then so then we met Brooke, and she was a pianist, and vocal. She was actually a vocal coach, very good, very good singer, and she played guitar and stuff like that too. And we, so then at that point, our dynamic now we're back to a 4-piece, and we decided to change from Saltwater to Sugar Laced Morning. And then so we went that route, and then it ultimately, all the originals kind of dropped off, and we were mainly just a cover band.
Cover band?
Up
Okay.
until that point. And that went till about 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. So at that point, things were kind of fizzling out as far as we played many places, and we were just kind of, and then Eric had moved out of the area, and it just wasn't going to be convenient to kind of be a band anymore. And so we all just kind of moved on. At that point, I met a guy, and we were going to try to start a band. He was in North Branch. I was going to try to start a band, just a regular cover band or whatever. And of course, we couldn't get anybody up there. I was going to play guitar. Couldn't get anybody to North Branch. That's too far away. That's too far. So, but anyway,
So what got you to North Branch? Why'd you end up moving up there? Was it the wife and getting married? And
well, so Trisha is from Taylor's Falls,
okay,
initially, and we've always kind of wanted to get up, north, and that's about where the money was right for us in Taylor's Falls, and of course the proximity to Taylor's Falls, in North Branch. And so
is that still where you are now? It's North Branch?
No,
You're a little closer up near Taylor's Falls now.
Yeah, we moved to Taylor's Falls.
Oh, you're actually in Taylor's Falls. Okay.
A few years, about 10 years ago now.
Okay.
Maybe.
It's crazy. We'll say a few years, and you think about, oh my God,
Yeah.
10 years. Huh?
Yeah.
Where's life go, right?
Yeah, it was 2014 so yeah, 11.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
But so I met this guy, and he, we tried the band. He was a drummer, but he was also really into, he had a kind of a studio going, and he, at the time, we were kind of like, well, this isn't really working. And I'm like, hey, I got all this music, I said, do you want, maybe you want, if you play the drums on it, should we record that? And ultimately what came about from that was 2013 version
of Hypnoterror, huh?
Yeah, with Chad playing drums, and then I played guitar and bass, and then
Sunlight Basin Studios.
yeah,
I love that you give every little recording space you're in its own name.
yeah.
That's amazing.
And then we got I pulled Brian out of Northeast again to do the vocals on that.
Is that right? Nice.
And that one is a lot more professional than all of these, even though again it wasn't sent out to have mastered or
Right. But I mean, even the gear today, as you can pull off just directly recorded into a mixer,
it's incredible.
Pretty insane.
Yep, it's incredible. And so we did that. So of course, then in the meantime, his old bandmates, there's a couple of these guys that he used to be in a band with, they wanted to record some songs. And so, okay, Chad was going to record. So he asked me if I wanted to help out one day. And this band came out, and I met these guys. The band was called Concrete Injection. And so I helped them out. And then on the second recording, they had their bass player couldn't make it. So then they were asking me, well, can you just do a scratch track for us on bass? And, okay, so we just did a quick scratch. And then after all that, then their bass player finally was on the band
together.
And so Chad's like, they're looking for a bass player, and they wondered if you wanted to try out, Oh yeah, I really enjoyed their music, and
What kind of music was this?
So this was more metal.
Okay.
Now it's getting into more my genre.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like Concrete Injection. You think they're probably not playing pop music.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yep. And so then, So then I went and auditioned, and we were a band from then on, and
You still play with them now?
I was in that band for about maybe 10 years. We had lost a singer a couple years before we kind of ended things. But yeah, we ended up doing in these. So now, now with all my experience, we went ahead and of course with Chad's help too. Now I'm got a little better, and we recorded everything. I mean, we went as deep as recording like 4 guitar tracks, 2 or 3 vocals or where it's needed. Not necessarily on the drums or the bass. We didn't do, maybe if I did a different bass line, we'd overlap or, combine the two. But, and then once we got done, these first 2, we ended up sending to a guy in South Africa and to mix and master them. And, we were pretty impressed with that.
He did a nice job, huh?
And then he was stepping away from that whole deal. And then we had this last album. And so we ended up going to Winterland Studios, which I think is pretty close to this location.
Is that right? I've heard of it, but I don't know where it is. Yeah. And who's the guy behind that one? Is that Will Maravellis or?
Boy, I can't remember the guy's name.
No? Let's look it up.
So yeah,
Winterland Studios.
He had something to do with Kid Johnny Lang's "Lie to Me" song. He had a big plaque. That's what I remember.
That's a New Hope. So yeah,
New
that's
Hope.
right around
Okay.
the corner. We'll have to see if we can get him to come in. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I think so Josh was the guy that worked with us. Part of this selection, this wasn't finished until like 2018, but part of that selection was in 2016 when Prince had died. We'd never done covers and never anything like that, and we were like, we should do a Prince song, and we were all just kind of like, okay, yeah, that'd be cool. And and the singer, I think, was like, I always wanted to do When Doves Cry. And the guitarist was really leery at first. There's no guitar, and we're like, just make something up, And so he came up with this guitar line, and then the drummer even came up with this other part, this little kind of a bridge piece that's quite different then. But I mean, there is a lot of aspects, and we didn't change any of the lyrics except for When Doves Die, we called it, and we had to get that released, and we got the copyrights and everything.
Is that right?
And we had to get that released in 2016, the year that he died. That was our goal. So that was pretty neat. And again, we went through Winterland Studios to get that mixed and mastered. And
nice. So take me back to today then. So what's, you've got Crackin' the Halo, which is your cover band, which is kind of just getting out to water. Are you still working on any original projects? You still hang with your friends? Are you like a master recording engineer now? It seems like you've done quite a bit.
Well, as I get through kind of towards the end of the Concrete Injection thing, a couple guys that I was in Saltwater with, the drummer and the guitarist, they're in another band, and their bass player was going to be gone on a gig, and he asked me to fill in, and okay, so I learned the songs or whatever, and I got back on stage, and I was just like, oh, I miss this. It had been a long time, even with Concrete Injection, we'd play Big V's or Lee's Liquor Lounge, we're playing for the other bands, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not for, a crowd. And so then at that point I was like, okay, I gotta get something started, and I tried getting a cover band together, um, um, and it was going, and we get so far, and then like the singer left, up, and then that's ultimately when I met Brian Nunn.
Mm.
And so then through Brian, we tried getting this cover band thing going. It was going to be called Tripwired.
I remember that.
Very cool name that Brian came up with.
I think the first night that I went to Ziggy's, you guys were actually, that was the first time I had ever played on that Ziggy's stage.
Yep.
And you guys were the showcase band. So
Yeah.
that was the first time we connected.
Yeah, we got so far, and we still couldn't. And then we got as far, and then the drummer left, and then we couldn't get a drummer. And the guitarist Jeremy, he was in a band, Blackout, with Aaron Cole.
Okay.
So he had asked Aaron if he could fill in for us. So Aaron obliged and filled in for us, and yeah, that was that night. So so Aaron, of course, playing the drums that night. That was when and then I saw you playing, and then I went up to you. I'm like, hey, are you in a band? You want to be in a band? I think that's how that conversation.
That's how it all started, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yep. And then from there. So, but then of course, that kind of again fizzled out. We actually had a showcase at Shaw's set
Same
up,
band? Tripwired?
Tripwired,
Okay.
and again, still no drummer.
Mm.
And again, AC stepped up again, so he filled in for us, and that was my first exposure at Shaw's.
Mm.
And yeah, because previous to that, I was doing a couple of the Ziggy's open jams,
Oh, yeah?
and yeah, mainly because of that showcase. I was like, oh, this is pretty neat, you
Yeah.
know. And then, oh, you can just sign up for these songs, and then I would hit a couple nights here and there, and then we did the Shaw's one, and then same kind of setup.
Mhm.
It's a little more open to, if you get guys together, you can do off list songs. There's more off list songs
You talk about Shaw's?
through Shaw's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it seems to almost be built for that.
Yeah.
Very, very few people even look at the list. They just kind of like say, hey, I want to do this song and submit it. And
Yep.
it's kind of fun that way.
And then they try to get players for
A
it.
lot of heavier music
Yep.
rolls through there too. So
Yeah, and so that's ultimately how. But then after all of that Tripwired stuff, and then that stuff really slowed down, and then Brian met our Will James, because he was at the Shaw's, and they got to talking, and they were like, yeah, we really like Stone Temple Pilots. And so then he calls me up, and actually Peter auditioned for Tripwired, and he was going to get the gig, but he didn't want to commit to a cover band type, which is, now that you think about it, it's a lot of work. I mean, you got to have 3 hours worth of music at least,
yeah.
And so he didn't commit to Tripwired, but Brian got him to commit to the Crack in the Halo. So so that's how that kind of came about. And then group chat again, and it's like, we should probably have a second guitarist, because there is a lot of, their recorded music has a lot of double different guitars and that's where we got Sean involved.
Nice.
So then he came on board.
Yeah, it is a band full of great players. So I look forward to seeing what you guys do.
It's amazing. It's incredible. I mean, I sit back and I watch those guys play. I'm just, how am I in this? That's incredible. They are, amazing players, every one of them.
That's pretty cool. Will actually was posting in one of the Minnesota music groups, right? Like how can I get out and meet other musicians, because I want to get back into it. And I was the one that convinced him to start coming to some of the open jams.
That's what he said. He would been out of the the guitar playing business for quite some time, it sounded like.
And he's such a good guitar player.
Yeah.
It's it's shocking to see that he hasn't been literally playing like an hour a day for his entire life, because he's really, really talented.
Yeah. No, it's fun. And then, of course, that brings on a lot more. I've been hitting a lot more of the Shaws, but of course we did the Halloween show, and we did Lux Eterna. That was amazing. That was so fun. Again, now back to my roots,
Yeah.
I mean, it is fun to play, those bass lines like that, but then when you play something like that where you could just throw your hair around, that's just makes it that much more enjoyable for me anyway. I walked away from that. I mean, I was shaking. That was like amazing, and I was like trying to hit the.
Same with me. I was
Trying to
by
hit
that
the
and Refuse Resist as well. I was really pumped up out of that.
Yeah, that was
Got some great crowd response on that one. So
yeah, that was cool. We finished that one, and I was like, oh wow, crowd was cheering.
that's one of those that I wish we could just start over again. Play it a second time, because it was so much fun.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, awesome, man. So as you have heard on some of the other episodes, I always like to wrap these up by saying, who do you nominate to be next on the Minnesota Music Note?
Well, I thought about this for a while, and I was asking around and everything, and I thought, who hasn't done this yet? I know both Brians have done this, I believe. Brian
Naughton's been on here.
Naughton.
Who's the other Brian?
Sunberg.
Oh, Kevin.
Kevin.
Yeah. Kevin's
Sorry.
actually coming out this week. So
Okay, cool.
yeah.
So then I thought about it. I'm like, what if I were to suggest you? What if I suggested you, and I asked you the questions?
All
We
right.
can do on a impromptu.
All right, man. Okay, that's a little spin on its head, isn't
A
it?
little quick.
Okay,
I whipped up some questions.
here we go.
Okay.
Hit me.
What was your first official music selection that you owned?
It's a really funny story. So I guess like a lot of young kids, I loved music. When Alice in Chains first hit the airwaves, I was enamored with Alice in Chains, but I was still on this edge of listening to all the other things that I listened to in the car with my parents, and I asked my grandmother to buy me 2 albums, and she bought both of them for me. So one of them was AIC Dirt, and everybody will forgive me for that one, right? That's a great album. The other one was Crisscross. Do you remember the 2 kids that used to wear their pants back?
Oh yeah.
Crisscross to make you jump.
Oh yeah.
So I was still at that stage in my life. And thankfully I chose the correct path, and went down the AIC path and got deeper into that area. But yeah, I still like that.
Yeah.
Miggity Mac, I'll make you jump.
Oh yeah. We all kind of have that weird, like, you never saw that coming. Like,
Yeah.
you still listen to that?
I used to have a friend named Sean Pearson in one of my first bands called Knucklehead when I was in high school. And I joined the military, and Sean joined the military around the same time. And we went to different places, and then suddenly we both ended up in Germany together. And Sean was he's always like just obnoxiously funny. Like, he's so funny, but sometimes it's almost like, wow, that's like too much, man. He bought a BMW, put this freaking like 18 subwoofer in the back of it, and then he comes and picks me up in Frankfurt and says, we're going to Paris. And we were driving down the road, 2 obnoxiously loud Americans listening to like Too Legit to Quit, and oh my God, man, it was so much fun. But that is who Sean is until this day. So
Oh, funny. That is too funny. Okay, so if this we all know that you lived in Qatar.
yeah.
So what was the difference, like the music scene? What's the difference between Minnesota and Qatar?
Well, I suppose the music scene of Qatar, right, is much wider than the music scene that I was in. And so what I mean by that is that I'm in Arabia, and there's a lot of Arabic music, a lot of other things, and I never really quite got into any of that, right? Although I can respect it musicianship for Arabic music is insane. Like vocally, technically, drums, everything is much more layered and challenging than anything we do in 4/4 time, right? But I still live in a 4/4 world for the most part. But the beauty of being an expat, which basically means, somebody from a different country who's coming to live and work in this country here, is that the entire community of expats were all like really just wrapped your hands around each other. And we loved hanging out together and playing music together. And also I was a decent drummer, not the greatest drummer in the world, but I was also one of the only drummers. And so I got to play with every single musician that existed in Doha at the time. And the beauty of it is we had friends and bands from South Africa, from Britain, from Australia, from the Philippines, from everywhere. And so you just really get to this mesh of people that I'm still friends with today. I've got friends living all over the world thanks to my time in Qatar.
That is great.
But it's also my wife and I, we were in some ways kind of like Doha famous. Doha is the capital of Qatar. And it's a very small city. When I first landed there, I think it had just over 1 million people. By the time I left, I think it had been about 3 or 4 million. So it had grown, but it's still like, even when I've gone back to Qatar many, many times since I left in 2013, a lot of times for work over there. And when I land in the airport, without fail, I will see 2 people that I know. It's crazy. Right?
Crazy.
Because that would very rarely happen in a large city like Minneapolis. But in Doha, it's just like, there's just so many people that we still know from our connections over there. But it was cool, man. You get to play blues in the afternoon at the Ramada Hotel with a blues band, and then I was in a band called Richard Cranium with 2 guys that actually we're planning to try to do a little tour. My singer's and my bass player are going to fly here.
Nice.
That's the ones I talked to you about, actually. And they're going to be here during the summertime, and we're just going to kind of make a little short tour, maybe play some of the open jams or whatever. Just kind of fun, bring back out the memories of the great times we had in Qatar. So yeah.
Oh, that's really neat.
Yeah.
I mean, I can compare this Minnesota scene, especially, I mean, these open jams, everybody is just so positive about things. It is just so much fun. Everybody just has a good time, and everybody cheers each other on, and and you can play anything that you want, and it still fits into the vibe with everybody, and everybody enjoys it. And it's such a blast to be part of this scene, I tell you that.
And I think the open jams really have opened up the Minnesota music scene to me and to my wife, because we didn't really know a lot of people before we got into, these jams. And when I first went out to these jams, and I still get nervous now. I get nervous every time I get up on and play, but I'm a lot less nervous than I used to be when I was 22 or whatever. But when you don't know anybody and you don't know how you're going to be received, and these are all like really polished musicians, you're like, I don't want to screw it up and yada, yada, yada. But, over time, it hasn't been that way at all. Like, your expectations and the walls you feel like exist just fall away.
Melt away.
And now I feel like I'm going and hanging out with my friends and playing in their living room, or playing blues in your basement, you know what I mean?
And that's the neat part about it all is, we can play a couple songs together. We don't have to be in a band and everybody in the band and the band and the band. No, it's like I can play a couple songs with you, couple with them, couple with, and you can, just get to know everybody that way, and you can jam with everybody, and
it's really cool.
So yeah, it's really exciting.
Well, awesome, man. If you got any more, if not, I'm gonna.
Nope.
I think we'll wrap it up. That was really neat and interesting. Thanks for doing that, man.
Oh, thank you.
Turn the tables around.